All right, folks, let's get into it. I know a lot of you don't even want to hear the name Bernie Sanders. I don't hold it against you. In fact, I get it. I mean, this guy said he was starting a revolution. Then he went out there and endorsed not only Hillary Clinton, but Joe Biden. Then Kamala Harris. 3 people that have done really nothing for Black Americans. Not to mention the whole reparations issue where he blew us off. He showed us that his so-called revolution didn't include Black Americans. But see, now Bernie's making headlines because there's talk he may be starting a third party. And while some may see this as a bold move, I see it a different way. I see it as a chance to take a closer look, not just about this third party, but about Bernie himself. And have I say, this isn't just about Bernie Sanders running for office. This is about holding people accountable and calling out their betrayals when they sell out the very people they say they're going to be fighting for. So stay with me. I'm about to break this down. No fluff, no sugarcoating, just straight truth. Somebody hit me up on the comment section and were like, Tim Black, you shouldn't be covering Bernie's third party idea. Only hacks are not covering it. And the grifters. I wasn't going to cover it. But you know what? You're right, I am going to cover it. This one's for you, son.
The working people of this country are extremely angry. They have a right to be angry. In the richest country in the history of the world, today the people on top are doing phenomenally well, while 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and millions of families worry that their kids are actually going to have a lower standard of living than they do. You got the top 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 90%. We're the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all of our people. 25% of our seniors are trying to live on $15,000 a year or less. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. And the gap between the people on top and everybody else is getting wider and wider. And then, Kristen, on top of all of that, we got a corrupt campaign finance system which allows billionaires to buy elections. So if you're an average worker out there, you're saying, hey, I'm working longer and longer hours, going nowhere in a hurry, worried about my kids, and yet the people on top have never had it so good. Where is the Democratic Party? Are they prepared to stand up to these powerful corporate interests, raise the minimum wage, fight for health care for all people, make sure that all of our kids get the quality education that they need, expand Social Security? Are they prepared to do those things? That's the issue that we have to address.
First of all, it seems this Bernie interview is pretty similar to the op-ed press release he put out. And I see a couple problems with that, so let's get into that.
And he just recently sent out a campaign email that was not one of these normal, just like boilerplate fundraising pitches. This was clearly coming directly from him. The Democrats ran a campaign protecting the status quo and tinkering around the edges. Trump and the Republicans campaigned on change and on smashing the existing order. Not surprisingly, the Republicans won. Unfortunately, the, quote, change that Republicans will bring about will make a bad situation worse.
Well, and what he is saying is what we heard the voters say in Griffin's segment, which is the big theme to take away from that is people voted for change. They voted for change. They voted for change. And
like, what does this mean? What is he planning? And, you know, people have floated like, is he going to launch a third party? Is that what this is leading to? I think that's probably very unlikely, just given, you know, Bernie has been in politics for longer than either one of us has been alive. But I personally think it's unlikely that at this point in his life, he's going to go in that direction. But I am curious to see what he has in mind for his next act. I can tell you, I saw him speak last week, week before? I can't remember. Anyway, I saw him speak recently, and he's still got it, let me tell you.
Yeah. It seemed to me like he was more or less campaigning. Yeah, I don't know why he's campaigning. Campaigning for what? What's he campaigning about? What is he trying to do? Why wouldn't he just say it? You know how short an actual, like, manifesto could be at this point for Bernie Sanders? All right, we're starting a party. Gear up, folks. Let's go. Then, More news coming. That'd have been it. To clear all the decks of all the ideas and people speculating about what's happening. That's all he had to do. He didn't do that because he's doing what he always does. Yapping and yapping and chipping and tapping at the mouth. Playing on your emotions, playing on these things. He's a politician, Goofy. He's been doing this his whole career. Talking a good talk, but when it's time to put up and shut up and stay up, he doesn't. And I don't want to hear, man. I don't want to hear the shit about, the evil Democratic Party. Yeah, I bought that the first time. I halfway bought it the second time. Then when he dumped on black people, didn't know what reparations was. He didn't even have the heart to say, hey, I don't support it. Instead, he acts like he doesn't understand what we're even talking about. That, to me, was a bridge way too far. Worse than that, he'd already betrayed me when he went and campaigned for Hillary. Then he betrayed everybody again by campaigning for Joe Biden. What else needs to happen for people to realize that Bernie was never who Bernie tried to pretend to be? Guy has some policies that he believes in, or I guess, that are important to him. Fine. But if Bernie really wanted to start a third party, wouldn't he have started it after he got robbed the first time? Or maybe he would have started it after he got robbed the second time. You mean to tell me he's going to wait again for Trump to get him back in office, for him to start? Or maybe it's just a nice, slick way to keep goofies like you stuck around the Democratic Party for a moment. Yeah, he ain't going to start a third party. Just the same way he wouldn't, the same reason I agree with Crystal Ball. He's not going to start a third party. If he's going to start one, he would have already started one. He's just doing the same old thing he likes to do, is come in and say the most obvious shit. Hey, everything's corrupt. Hey, where's the money? Hey, we need this. Hey, the top 1%. Hey, the millionaires and the billionaires. And then, as everyone knows, the stick. But when it comes down to it, what's he really willing to? What is he really willing to risk? Nothing. And that's what I got to say about all these people. I cannot rock with these people. Hey, man, long time ago, man, I was a different guy. Thank you, Crystal, for bringing me on your show. Breaking Points. You and Sagar's show. But now it's just, no one's going back to the dumb. I can't go back to being dumb. I can't go back to not knowing. I know too much to unknow what I now know. And when you say stuff like, the Democrats lost, Kamala Harris defended Joe Biden policies.
You don't tell people that you are a change agent effectively if you are Kamala Harris and you are defending the Biden administration's policies.
No! She betrayed all idea of her ethics. It wasn't just that she defended Joe Biden's policies. She helped enact them. She embodied them. Some of that legislation never would have got done without her. Okay? So, no, you don't get to say, how were they going to win? They got her defending. She's a part of it. She's a part of the administration. The problem with you guys is that you're still stuck on the Democratic Party. It's a grift to pretend this is real. It's a grift for you to pretend that this is plausible with Bernie at the helm. Bernie is the institutional dog. He's a man of institution of the Democratic Party. He is of that. He ain't going to grow no damn new stripes. You got polka dots and he's keeping them. For you to say AOC's a fighter like AOC, what?
Because I think even though he's stylistically very different from Trump, very different than AOC, also though a New York character.
Yes.
Interesting parallel there. But, that people had that same sense of him. This is a fighter. This is someone who is focused on me and my life and is going to go to war against the forces that are arrayed against me.
Have we been living on the same planet the last couple of years? She's a hack. And so is he. The actions are what matters. And when it comes down to actions, it's either inaction or wrong action and a bunch of word salad when being questioned. And then coming out and saying the obvious things that everyone else is saying because the wind's blowing that way don't matter, does it? Nah, man, the courageous stand up when things are against them. The courageous, the leaders, they stand up regardless to how the ball's bouncing. That's why they're called leaders. And for you to put Bernie and AOC, you just killed it for me. Because that's exactly the wrong idea. Yes, I do believe we need more parties. I support new parties, more parties. But you know what? Do that shit without me. And I think I speak for a lot of us. I don't trust him. I don't believe in him. I don't think he has what it takes to go the distance. I don't believe that he will stick to it. This is all words. It ain't gonna work this time. You can fool some people some of the time, but you ain't fooling me again. I'm done with that. And I think most people with reasonable sense would say, all right, F you, show me. Go do it, then we'll see. Talk to me after you did it. Bernie would not be the person. For you to say Bernie would be the person to start a third party, he'd be the absolute wrong person to start a third party. We don't need you to be known. You'll become known by what you do. You don't have to be a known person in the Senate for 40 years like Bernie Sanders to get respect, to be able to start something. All you got to do is want to do it. All you got to do is have the guts to do it, have the courage to do it, have the stamina, the belief to do it. You don't need a guy who wouldn't do it, who wouldn't stand up for his own self. How are you not going to stand up for, if you baseball bat me, if you shellac me, if you shiv me in the shower, and I see you in the yard, it's on. He got shivved twice, and he still works there. You two young ladies may be from the different side of the tracks. But you have tracks in your towns, right? Stop shoveling a pile of shit to the people and feeding it to them. You know better. I know it's worth a couple of 100,000 views for some people. Let them enjoy it. Eat cake. But as for the hopes and dreams, the ambitions, the emotions of the everyday working class person, don't get your hopes up high on Bernie Sanders. He's a heartbreaker and a dream destroyer. Not worth it. So, I talked about it. Happy?